So, just to explain what's going on at this part of Ezekiel, we probably already picked it up in the last few days, but Ezekiel's having a vision of the temple. And at the time that Ezekiel's prophesying, he's already living in Babylon. So the temple has been destroyed, and the temple was God's house. That's where everybody lived. That's where you would go and visit God. Like if you looked him up on Google Maps, you'd find his address at the temple in Jerusalem. And that had been destroyed. God's glory had left the temple, and that's a devastating thing to have happened. So Ezekiel had that vision back in chapter 10. He saw God's glory leave. Obviously, the temple was destroyed. Now, towards the end of his book, he starts to have a vision of a new temple where God is going to come and live. And so the bit that we're reading at the moment is simply just the design of the temple. So it's all about how long it is and how wide it is and things like that. Tomorrow, it's going to get a little bit more interesting because that's when the glory of God moves back into the temple. But for the moment, that's just what he's seeing. And I thought, in terms of trying to draw some sort of meaning out of it, rather than forcing it from that particular description of a temple, we would instead, just for a change, dwell on the psalm. So the psalm here is a nice short psalm, Psalm 131. My heart is not proud, Lord. My eyes are not haughty. I do not concern myself with matters too great or things too wonderful for me, but I have calmed and quietened myself. Goes on, but the bit I just want to draw out is I have calmed and quietened myself, and then slightly later the psalmist says I'm like a weaned child, i.e. a child that's perfectly content just sitting, being still. When was the last time we just sat and we just were with the Lord? We just were still, we calmed ourselves, we quietened ourselves before him. If you're anything like me, you spend your day full of noise. You know, we switch the radio on, we listen to our phone stuff all the time, we watch TV, we've always got something going on in the background, even when we're doing our homework or we're at work, we've got our headphones in. We fill our day with noise. We don't like silence and quiet. It kind of freaks us out. And yet, more often than not, those are the times where we're free to listen to God and to be in his presence. We don't need to fill it always with words when we come before God. In fact, he's okay with us just sitting, being still and being content with him. You know how you see like old couples, they've been together for so long that they just kind of sit there in restaurants not saying anything. I used to feel sorry for them. I used to want to go over and be like, oh my word, someone needs to break the ice here. You know, let's get some sort of, how can we start a conversation? Actually, I misunderstood that for a lot of them, they're so close, they've been together so long that simply sitting with one another in the presence of the other is being intimate. And for us and God, he invites us to do just that, to be calm, to be still, to just for a while not fret about all the things we wish we knew the answers to, and just to enjoy and being content in his presence.